Hey beautifuls. So, how are you? What's been happening? I'm feeling a little bit tired right now because I've only had a few hours sleep. Because I had a bit of a girls' night last night and it was fun. It was really fun. And stayed out dancing for a little bit, which was super cool, and just love dancing. So what I'm going to talk about today is flirting, and it's particularly when you're an introvert. So, and some of the things that I've been practicing and exploring, and I'm really just going to share with you what happened last night when I put some of this stuff into practice. And the reason why I'm calling it with an introvert is because I am actually an introvert, but I'm an extroverted introvert. So in some spaces I'm very extroverted, and then in some spaces I'm very introverted. So if I am in a group of people, like a big crowd, if I go in a big crowd of people, I can be quite internal and with myself. But put me on a stage and I'm very extrovert, like I love getting on stage and I love talking and love doing live streams and can talk and share so much of myself. But when I'm in like crowds where I don't know anyone, I'm not usually the loudest person. I like to spend enough time alone. I like to have my space, and but I do get a bit shy with approaching people, particularly approaching men. And so this is what I wanted to talk about. And this journey I've been on recently, which I've decided to step into more vulnerability around that and really start connecting with men in just outside of my normal circles and being open to more of these connections. I think one of the reasons that I actually became a speaker was so that people would know who I was, and they would approach me rather than me having to approach them. But it kind of doesn't really work sometimes, because a lot of people are like me and won't approach. Particularly, I know that I used to kind of feel quite intimidated by people that were maybe speakers, things like that, and then I would feel less like I would be able to approach them. So that's why when people approach me, I'm so welcoming and be like, let's connect, because I know what that's like, and sometimes it can take a lot to approach someone. So anyway, so I've really wanted to start exploring more connection, and I found that most of my dating life has been spent online, and online dating has been very easeful for me. I've dated a lot. And one of the reasons for this is because I've found it hard to, if I find a man attractive, to flirt with him. Or I go really funny or shy, or what do I say? And freeze up and all this kind of stuff. And I'm kind of once I'm in the connection, I'm sweet. I can talk about anything. I'm really open. I can be really fun and playful. But it's kind of just getting past that first initial connection, and if it was online, then I've already established the connection. So when I was to go on a first date, then I find it very easeful. I'm already find that I'm fine. So basically what happened last night is I've been talking about doing this for ages. I've been talking about going out and just practicing some of these flirting things that I've been learning about. So I've been following some dating coaches. One of them is Matthew Hussey, and one of them is Mark Rosenfeld, who actually have connected with in real life, and we've talked a bit about the different work that we do, and so I'm giving him a shout out because he's awesome. So Mark, I would highly recommend to follow him. He's got a great YouTube channel as well. So we're going to actually do a joint live stream at some point. I'm not sure what it's going to be about, but it may be about flirting. So we'll see. He's really cool. So I think I've been really learning a lot, just picking up different ways to really be open to being approached, different body language, even words that things that you can say, and be more playful. I'm a bit funny about there's kind of this, I feel it's hard. I don't want to put words in my mouth, I want things to be very natural and authentic. Is really, really important to me. But also sometimes it's helpful just to have some kind of a little bit of guidance. But what I've really been exploring is understanding the mind of a man in these situations. And one of the biggest things that I've realized, and I didn't realize like how massive this was, is how many men, particularly in Australia, and Dave McDermott talks a lot about this. He's another awesome coach as well. We did a lot of men's work. And I went to a workshop of his called Conscious Pickup, and I really realized how many men are afraid to approach women, like, and how massive it is. Like, I did not realize, I did not understand like how massive it was that men will not approach. Like, and the men that are approaching generally are men who, how do I word this? May have more of a, and this is generalization, more of like a predatory energy. And I will feel that, and it will make me kind of like not want to be approached in some ways. Like, this part of me is like, oh, I want to be approached, but not by that guy, you know? And then the ones that I want to be approached by are the ones that are too afraid to approach, right? And I'm like, what is going on here? Come on. So what I've realized that I've had to do is to be approached, because I find that often I won't get approached very often, but I'll get looked at. Like, if I'm out, and I noticed this last night a lot, I had a lot of guys that would look at me but would not approach, like, and I was like, what's going on? So I realized that I have to make myself approachable. And what this means is, I was talking to my girlfriends last night about this, is the first thing is like body language. So I'm going to go into what happened last night, and some of the things that I applied, which were like, I just went in, the agenda, I let go of any agenda. So what I mean by this is sometimes I feel like the fear can actually be because of we've kind of thought too far ahead, like the fear of rejection, or you know, we have some kind of agenda. So if I let go of the agenda of it needing to be any more than just exploring flirting and practicing flirting, then there's not fear of rejection in the space, and it makes it a lot easier, right? So if I take out the intention of, oh, I want to like meet this guy and like connect with him, it was more about, oh, I just want to practice flirting. So there was no attachment to an outcome. So that was really powerful in itself. That was the first thing. And so we were at the bar, and I was like, okay, girls, my intention is to practice flirting. This is what I'm going to do tonight. And I was like, let me just bring up the notes on my phone. Writing, and then my friend Belinda was like, okay, I'm going to test you out on these notes, and then I was like, okay, the first thing is body language, having open body language. So instead of like sitting like crossed or your back to someone, is to just actually be open, which it feels more welcoming, and yeah, it's like more of a kind of warm energy. And sometimes I will notice that I will close myself off and kind of keep to my friends and not keep my body language open. So yeah, that was the first thing. The next thing is eye contact. Now, this is interesting, right? I think that, well, I'm a little bit vulnerable with eye contact, but I have been vulnerable in the past. So now I've attempted to do a little bit longer. But apparently that's still not enough. So the next thing is eye contact and smiling. So this is what happened. We were at the bar, and then we went to the dance floor, and there was some guy came up to me on the dance floor, and I wasn't really interested in flirting with this guy. Like, I just, like, there's the energy I felt. Like, this is the thing. It was like, yeah, this is just this energy that can actually put me off a little bit, and there's two kind of energies. There's like the energy of when a guy is really trying too hard, and it's like it feels like it's in my space, like it's almost too much, and I feel like I'm not going to have my space to be able to dance, and like I love dancing by myself, and it's almost like I feel like you're encroaching on my energy, then I'm probably not going to want to engage. But I do still engage. Like, I'm not one of those people that goes, oh, like, fuck off or whatever. I still have a conversation and connect and, you know, speak my boundaries if I'm wanting to, like, dance on my own, which I did a couple of times last night. but there is definitely something in the space with me. If I give a man a little bit of attention, he's gonna take it and he's gonna want more. And so that was something that I'm exploring at the moment, is around boundaries around that. And so, yeah, and then I think I went to the bar and the toilet and I came back. Anyway, there was someone had spilled a drink on the floor. And this guy came up and stood next to me and he's like, oh, I'm just trying to get away from the floor, like the mess on the floor. And then he's like, is it okay for me to be talking to you? Is it, because like something, he asked me this really weird question. It was like, is it weird that I'm talking to you because you're older than me or something? I can't remember exactly. He's like, is your husband going to come and like punch me up or something? and I just didn't even know what to say. I was like, I went a bit blank. I was like, how do I respond to that? And then he was like, and he just didn't say anything. He's like, well, and I was just like, oh, and then I went, oh, I'm married to myself. Because he's like, oh, look at the ring. Because he picked up my hand and he was like, oh, see the ring? He's like, oh, actually, no, that ring isn't on the right finger. He's like, oh, you must have a boyfriend then. And I was like, actually, I'm married to myself. He's like, oh, that's different. And then he asked me the question, so how's your night been? And I just answered it with, oh, my night's been really interesting. And he's like, interesting how? And I was like, okay, like, better find something really interesting to say. And the reason why I said it's been really interesting is that it gives him an opportunity to then go, why? Why is it interesting? Like, to get more curious, instead of me saying, oh, my night's been really good, thanks, or something like that, it's interesting. So it brings that curiosity of connecting more. And I was like, well, my intention is to practice flirting tonight. And I was like, do you want to help me with this? Like, will you practice flirting with me? Will you help me with this? Now, this was really unintentional. I did not even, like, I wasn't, like, deliberately trying to do this, but I realized now, like, looking back, that the fact that I asked him for help was actually a form of flirting with him, right? A form of, like, getting his interest, getting his attention, and putting him in this kind of masculine, getting to help me role, right? And I was like, okay, I need to practice eye contact. He was like, yeah, let's practice. And I was like, great. So it's like, okay, I need to practice eye contact. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the dance floor, and then I'm going to like look at you, and then I'll come back and you're going to tell me like whether I looked at you for long enough or la la la. So this is what we did. And so I went onto the dance floor and I was like pretending to dance, and I was like, I couldn't stop laughing at first. I was like, oh my God, this is so stupid. And I looked around at him and I, flicked my hair kind of. And then I looked at him again, and then I came back and I was like, how did I go? And he was like, no, it wasn't long enough. And I was like, what do you mean it wasn't long enough? I looked at you twice and I smiled. He's like, no, it needs to be more. I was like, okay, I'll go back, do it again. I did it again. Same thing, came back. And he's like, yeah, it still wasn't, like, because you're getting close, but not quite. And I was like, really? I have to do it for longer? Like, because that felt like quite longer than I'm used to. And then so he's like, the thing is, now I know that you're looking at me, right? Like, you've connected, but you haven't chosen me yet. It's like, I need to know that you have chosen me. Out of all the men here, I need to know that you have chosen me. And then when I know that you've chosen me, that's going to make me feel like I can approach you, or that we've got like this connection, like this chemistry. There's something there. Like, I'm going to know that, but you haven't made it obvious yet. And I was like more, I can't, wow, okay. And now I'm like thinking this is like quite vulnerable to be really, like, I'm feeling like it's that obvious. I'm like, this is going to be like so obvious. And he's like, and you need to check me out. Like, you need to look me up and down and like give me the eye. And I'm like, okay. So I went back on the dance floor. It took me ages to turn around, stop laughing and calm my seriousness. And I turned around and then I kind of moved my energy and I like kind of drew him in with my moves kind of thing. And then he was like, yeah, like, so it was really fun. And then he's like, okay, now I know. And I was like, wow, you guys really need that much. You need me to show you that much. Like, because that feels like a lot to me. And he's like, yeah, but you need it to be really obvious. Like, otherwise I just think that you're just looking at me as well as all the other guys, right? Like, I don't notice that I'm particularly singled out. So this is when I realized, and this is actually what Matthew Hussey talks about, is that like we have to make it obvious, because the guys are sometimes completely oblivious and they just think that might be looking past him or something, or looking around. And sometimes I actually won't directly look at a guy. I'll kind of look up a tiny bit and look up a tiny bit, but not directly in the eyes, because that's like, oh my God, if he sees me looking at him, that's really vulnerable. Which, this is why I'm doing this, right, is to really work on that. And there was also another guy at the bar that I checked out earlier in the night, and we had a few glances as well, but I know that I needed to do, now that I know, I need to make it way more obvious. So that was really interesting. And then and then I gave him a cheeky smile, and then we got to talking, and so we're still practicing at this point, like sort of, we're kind of going in and out of practicing. And then he asked me this question. He was like, what did he say? He said, oh, so what have you been doing with your time or something? And because this week I've been at home writing my book, I was like, well, I've stayed at home a bit. And I was like, EJ, that is not very interesting. Like, he's going to think you're like just this boring person. Little does he know, like, I actually live this pretty amazing wild life that is pretty out there. And then I was like, actually, that's not true. Like, I actually love to travel, and I love going on adventures. And he was like, oh, travel, like, where have you been? And it was so funny. Like, I was like, there's this big screen outside this bar, like a big, massive screen. And on the screen, they were showing these shots. And there was a shot of the Grand Canyon. And I was like, there. That's right. I went to the Grand Canyon last year. It's amazing, la, la, la. And he's like, oh, where else? And then I look at the screen, and there's the Hollywood sign. I was like, oh, and I went there, the Hollywood. And he's like, where's your favorite place? And I'm like, I said, I love Fiji and I love Bali, and I've lived down in Bali. And then we got talking about Bali, and then he was so funny. He was like, I was like, where's your favorite place in Bali? He's like, oh, I love Patong. I'm like, Patong's in Thailand. And then I was like, okay, oh, Phuket. I'm like, Phuket's in Thailand. I'm like, I don't think we can be friends anymore if you think that, if you don't even know where things are. So again, like, this was just another flirty thing to say, I don't think we can be friends anymore, which is kind of like creating like a challenge, or like it's just a playful thing to put in the space. And I actually really like that. I think that's really cool. And I use that anyway with other friends and stuff sometimes. But yeah, and then after that, there's so many things that happen. But so it's just like this, bringing this really playful energy, and that kind of, and then he was like, so he was like 26, right? And he was like, oh, so how do you feel about younger men? Because I really like older women. And that's right. And then I was like, can I test out giving you a compliment? Can I test out giving you a compliment? I want to see what really responds. So I looked at him, and I was like, I really love your Vans. He was wearing these Vans. And I was like, how did that feel for you? And he was like, well, anyone can have Vans. Like, it's like, yeah. I was like, okay. And I was like, I really love how your socks are matching. And then he was like, oh, wow, I can't believe you noticed, because, like, I really put in such an effort to match my socks, and then match my shirt, and then match my jacket. And I was like, and he was at the effort that I went to match everything, and he felt really acknowledged that I had not acknowledged that he'd gone to some kind of effort, instead of me just acknowledging something that he that everyone else might have, or acknowledging something that about him, like maybe his eyes or his hair or something. It's more something that he had gone to an effort to do. Like, so I was actually acknowledging him, not for the socks being matching. It was the effort that was being acknowledged, and he really received that and felt really seen. And so then I asked him to give me a compliment and he'd already been giving me compliments, but he was like, oh, you're so stunning, like your hair, your eyes, your curves in the right places, like la la la, and it was just going on. And I was like, okay, that's way too many compliments. Like, that's just like way too many. Because now that's like, it's almost like you're too keen, right? Like, I need, like, there's some kind of perceived, I guess, maybe challenge in there or something in there. And then I said, and what I would really love to receive is if you chose something that wasn't physical. So something like, I love your energy. I love the way you really hold yourself. Something that's about who I am. Because sometimes if I get compliments on my eyes all the time, which I love because I love my eyes. But at the same time, if someone, maybe they say, I love your eyes, but I just love the depth. Like I can see that you're a really deep person, right? That to me would feel like, wow, like I'm being seen. Like this person appreciates who I am. So it's like and what I said to him was like, if you say something like, I love your energy, it makes me think that you're seeing me for who I am, not for my physical beauty or my body. It's like that you're actually interested in me as a person, rather than the physical, which makes me feel seen and received, right? And I'm imagining it's also similar for men as well. So, and he's like, right, I'm going to use that. So he's like, I'm going to try that. And I feel like it's a little bit less vulnerable to say to someone, I love your energy. Because you're not even necessarily saying, hey, I'm attracted to you, like physically. Yeah, so. So, what else? Yeah, I asked him a really great question was, what would you do tomorrow if money was no object? And this is like a different question to ask other than, what do you do? Right? So I don't even know what this guy does. I didn't even ask him what he did. Like, he knows what I do because he asked me. But I was like, I didn't even ask him what he does, which would have been in the past, would have been like, oh, so what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what would you do tomorrow if money was no object? And he's like, I would travel. And that's how we kind of got on the travel that's how we kind of got into the travel conversation as well. But then it was like curious as to why, and starting to get to know him and his values and what's important, right? Like, so more curious about who he is. So, thanks. Oh, your little compliments. And then what did he say? Oh, then he asked me like, do you like a man who knows what he wants? And I'm like, yes. And he had his arm up at the stage, like kind of on the wall and looking down at me. And yeah, and I was like, yeah, even if it means something that's not long-term or something like that. And I was like, yeah. And so I think he was trying to gauge whether I would be interested in like a short-term casual thing or like a one-night thing, without being really upfront about it. But he was getting curious about what's important to me. And yeah, so yeah, we'll go back to he kept asking how old I was. No, he didn't. He said, so how old are you? And I was like, why was this like, why is it important to you? La la la. Anyway, I made him guess. I was like, okay, you have to guess. I'm not telling you. And he thought I was 30, which was nice. But I always get curious. I'm like, do they just say a little bit younger than they actually think, just in case they don't want to offend? Which I actually wouldn't be offended, because I actually know them quite mature for my age. I'm 34, by the way. Yeah, so sometimes people think I'm older because of my maturity level, and I've always been that way. But then some people thought I was younger too, so it's really, I think age is really irrelevant. And so then he asked me the question, what do you do for work? And I started laughing. Yeah, it's like, and I said to him, I said, this is the worst question you can ask for flirting. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, don't ask a girl what she does for work. But I'm going to tell you. And I was like, you're going to laugh. And I was like, I'm a relationship and sex coach. And he was like, my God, have you been like psychoanalyzing me? And he knew we were practicing, right? I was like, no, like this is a genuine thing that I'm wanting to learn and explore. And I'm a student right now. Like, this is me learning and for myself. But of course, I teach from my experience. And he was like blown away. He was like, whoa, like and he had to go up to he's like, I have to ask your friend. And he went up to B and was like, B, is she this relationship and sex coach? She's like, yeah. So I don't think he didn't even believe me. And he was like, it was like he was blown away. He's like, oh, like, and now he was intrigued. Now he was like, who is this chick? Like, And this is the thing, I'd shown him all these different, I guess, sides of me, being like playful and flirty and silly and joking, and then kind of having a little bit of seriousness in there, and then you could actually see that I, did actually like, I'm not quite sure what he thought of that, but it sounded like he was kind of, maybe impressed, or maybe not, like he could tell intelligence. That was the thing. Yeah. So seeing that I'm actually intelligent as well as being these different. So men really love the different flavors of women. Like, they want the fun and the playful, and they want the sexy, and they want the intelligence. They want to see all the range. And all women hold this as well. It's not like, one woman is sexy and not intelligent. Like, we all have our own way of form of intelligence. We all have our own way of sexiness, and we all have our own playfulness. And it's all there. It's just about whether we show it. And so one of the things that I'm being committed to showing is my playfulness and my fun and my silliness, which is something that I haven't shown a lot around men in these situations, because most of the time I've been connecting with them in my workspace. And so most of the men I've connected with have always been on a professional level, and I'm so used to this. And this is very common for a lot of successful businesswomen, is they're so good at connecting with men on a business level, being more masculine, that when it comes to actually connecting with men on a more intimate level, personal level, they're still showing up in this business-like way, and this is why they create friendships and not intimacy, right? So this is something I've been really wanting to explore. Here is a question. If you could change one thing in the world right now, what would you change, and why would you change it? That's a great question. I'm going to use that. But I might come back to that if I feel it's relevant, but maybe I'll do a whole live stream on that. And I do have to go soon. Oh my God, I have to go really soon in like 4 minutes. I'm doing nude yin yoga tonight with my amazing friend Mickey. So she runs this nude yin yoga immersion. It's like a 3-hour, so nude yoga. Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be beautiful. So, at the end, okay, we'll finish the last piece now, yes, this is when he came up to me and was like, you are really intriguing. And that's when I know this was the intriguing. This is where you want to get a man to think you're intriguing, because then he wants to get to know you a little bit more. Although, saying that, this guy wanted to take me home. Which, I can understand, but that's a boundary for me. And at the same time, my intention was not to connect further with him. It was actually just to practice flirting, which I shared with him at the start. So he said, he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I invite you, to come? Do I come to yours? Do you come to mine? How do I do this? You're like a sex coach. Like, what do I do? Like, so I feel like his usual tricks or the ways he would do things, he was like, what do I do? Like, well, he didn't feel like they would work or whatever. And I was just like, okay, I really appreciate it. I'm a lady and that's not my style. But if you want to connect further, here's my Facebook basically. But I had no attachment to anything either. So I really kind of let that one go. And yeah, probably wasn't too phased about taking anything further. So yeah, I was just happy, and it was, it was so beautiful. It's like, why do we have to take things further necessarily? Can we just have those beautiful connections in the moment and let them be what they are? Like, that was probably about an hour that I was laughing and being silly and joking and having this connection with this guy without it having to go anywhere. Like, why so often I think we feel like that, if you've got connection, it's got to go somewhere. And I didn't necessarily feel that. I just actually enjoyed it for what it was. And yeah, it was really beautiful. And so I guess what I'm wanting to embody more is having these experiences with different men, whatever they are, whatever they are, like whether it is just a moment, or like there's a couple of guys I danced with on the dance floor. That's a whole other story, but because there's more that came up for me, vulnerabilities I had around that. I'm the kind of woman that's like, I just love dancing by myself, give me but then I wanted to be more open to connecting and noticing what vulnerabilities came up for me around that, and what I thought that might, if I dance with a man, what expectation will he have of me, and all these kind of stories that were showing up that were creating a kind of a separation in this space, and in my willingness to not be in that separation anymore and really step into connection and letting it be just a dance. Why does it have to lead to anything? So yeah, So that's all I had to say, really. Oh, I tell a lie, that's not all I have to say. What I'm thinking of doing, and I've talked to some of my girlfriends about this for quite a few months now, is about getting together and actually going out and doing this as a group, and going out and practicing, and and connecting, and without necessarily like having some kind of like, great if the flirting leads to actual relationships or connections, awesome if that might happen, but more just to learn how to be more open and playful and this kind of thing. And so I'm thinking of doing that, and like getting together beforehand and going through some of these things and sharing our vulnerabilities around that, and then supporting each other, and then looking at, well, what are some of the things that, with the body language and the smiling and the eye contact, and supporting each other with that, giving us that little push that we might need. Okay, that guy, that was like my friends were last night, they were like, okay, that guy there, you need to do eye contact with him, body language open, encouraging each other. So if that's something you're interested in, like, this is something I'm just going to do for fun, like, it's not going to be like a paid thing, it's more like, my friends on the Gold Coast, and if there's anyone else that wants to join us, it's ladies only at this stage anyway, like, let me know, because I think this could be super fun. I might have to go out next Saturday night, because I've got my photo shoot for my book cover, and it would be really cool to go out and celebrate after that. Anyway, we'll see. Anyway, I have to go, because I have to go get nude and do yoga. Alright, much love is beautiful. That's all for now. Have an amazing, beautiful night wherever you are in the world.